Intrigue Media. Get noticed, get found.
So we've done 2 previous seminars on this. Some of you were here for it, some of you weren't. There are videos of a couple of them, so you can check them out. But in those 2 presentations, really all we focused on was where do you put the keywords. And keywords are phrases people type into search engines like Google to find things that they want to find. So there's got to be more than keywords that you can do, right? And it turns out there is. So has anybody ever moved? Cool, pretty much everyone. Okay, well if you haven't moved, there's this thing called forwarding addresses. So you have to go to the post office and you pay them $90 and then they forward all your mail to your new address. I didn't do that because I'm way too cheap. So I just went and called every single person that I could that I was getting mail from, so like my insurance, my bank, and I got everything when I moved this summer. And pretty much everything got moved except for a couple junk mail magazine subscriptions that my mom got for Bethany. So we can't change those because we didn't set it up. So now my old neighbor, God bless her heart, calls me every month, says, hey, you got mail here, it looks important. And then we go pick it up and it's magazines and resubscribe now to Shadow Lane and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, God bless Shadow Lane. I'm really glad that we have those filling up our house now. Anyway, so we got all the addresses forwarded except for the Shadow Lane stuff. And the reason why I bring this up is I think it's a really good illustration of what needs to happen online when you change something on your website. So if you move your website to a new domain, or if you even build a new website that has a whole bunch of new pages on it, and you want the old links that exist everywhere on the internet that people have been using for years, including search engines, to find the new pages, then you have to do something called a 301 redirect, which is essentially the exact same thing as a forwarding address for your website. So I'll give you guys an example. With Montessori School of Wellington, they originally had their website on montessori-school.ca. And we switched it a couple of years ago because Google's algorithm had changed and was valuing domains that had keywords in them a little bit higher than domains that didn't. So then we changed it to guelphmontessorischool.ca, and then Google's algorithm changed again last year, and they focused more on domains that had been around for a longer time and had a higher domain authority, which is a really complex score, which I won't get into, but essentially we need to switch it back. So a 301 redirect, we set it up on this domain, and now if you click on the link, if you watch it open, right now it says guelphmontessorischool.ca/enrollment-info. When you click on the link, it'll be really small, but I'll read it to you. It's the exact same link, but with montessori-school.ca. So all the old links that were indexed in Google, when Google came back to the site, Google realized, okay, well, they've moved, this is their new address, let's put this into our search engine result page. And that's a really simplified version of it. Right now, actually right before I came down, Hillary is working on correcting spelling errors on intrigueme.ca, and our business philosophy tag, which appears in 1,700 URLs, is spelled business philosophy.
Business philosophy.
Yeah, like that, exactly. Yeah.
That's leadership. Making new words.
Yeah, exactly.
Intriguing.
So right now I'm figuring out a very complex way using a language called regex to redirect all those 1,700 URLs with one line of code. So I'm figuring that one out. But anyway, it essentially, it's the forwarding address, and it's really important to have. And if you don't have that, you'll get a bunch of errors called 404 errors. So people will come to your website, the page will be broken, and Google doesn't like that, so they'll dock your rank. So this is a win because it can transfer all of your legacy from your old pages to your new pages, or it can be something that can hurt you if you don't do it. So that's why we do it.
And the Google spiders or robots, they'll crawl your site and index all the pages, and if they find all these 404 errors, they'll penalize you. So it doesn't have to necessarily be people even going to your site to experience it. It can be this wonderful thing called Google Online. That's
sure.
why we use Google Webmaster Tools, because it shows those errors.
Okay, for my next slide, I need a volunteer.
I'll volunteer.
Okay, Paul, you're a volunteer. What movie are these from?
Do you know Lord of the Rings?
It's because the ring is inside of the chest, right?
Is that not what the Ring is?
Dude,
That's clearly Star Trek.
Awesome.
You guys are gonna get along.
Yeah.
So Paul and I think Melanie have never seen Star Wars.
I'm working on it.
You're working on it. Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
James, I've never seen it.
Oh, you haven't
Hey,
either?
seriously? This is really not okay.
Next instant barbecue is just watching Star Wars.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
think we might just put it on this TV.
Good idea.
Ongoing
Yeah.
Star Wars on our.
Alex is here just in time. Star Wars slide.
I came for the important part.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big Star Wars nerd. Alex is debatably more or less. We argue about it from time to time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't throw this in here just because I like Star Wars. That's about 80% of the reason. It actually does apply to what we're talking. So these in Star Wars are called droids, but if they were in real life, what would we call them?
Robot.
Robots, exactly. Next point, robots.txt. So robots are these things that were designed by search engines to crawl the internet. And essentially they're computers and they're supercomputers. They're networks upon networks of computers that are working together with software that goes through the web and visits every possible URL on websites. And it uses some crazy algorithm that Google has developed to determine what needs to be added to search engine result pages. So this was really easy when the internet was new, like 20, 30 years ago, and there were only 1 million web pages out there. But now there are trillions upon trillions. I don't know what comes after trillions, so whatever that is, probably times that number. There's just so many web pages out there, right? So robots.txt was designed to help us essentially give a hand to the search engines who are coming to our website. So we can use robots.txt to do a couple things. We can tell search engines how often we're updating our content. So if we're not updating it every day and we're telling Google to come every day, they're going to get annoyed and then they're not going to come back as often. They're going to kind of figure out their own rate. But if we only update it, let's say once a month or once a week, and we tell Google, hey, we update it once a week, only come back that often, then it saves Google, their search engine robots, that much resources. So they can come back when it's optimal for them. So we're kind of doing them a favor and saying, hey, we're not going to be updating anything until next week, so you can come back then. The other thing you can do is you can also tell Google which pages to not go to on your site. So we use this for our clients and for ourselves to hide thank you pages from search engine results. We always send people to thank you pages after they fill out contact forms and fill out ebook downloads, that kind of thing. And we don't want those showing up in search engine results pages because if they did, then people could access those pages without filling out the form. And we want to use that in analytics, as Melanie has set up for us and for all of our clients, to be able to gauge how many people are actually filling out the forms. So that's one way we use robots.txt. And this is something that Google will ding you for if you don't have, and if you do have, you get kind of a little check mark. So it's another little piece that you can.
And what exactly is robots.txt?
That's a good question. It's like a notepad file. So if you have a PC and you use Notepad, or if you have a Mac and you use TextEdit, it's just it's a plain text file. I'll show you guys actually what it actually looks like. It's nothing too fancy. That's it. So there's this thing at the top that says user agent, and if it's an asterisk, that means all robots. You can also specify specific search engines, so you can block things from Bing or block things from Google, or have different settings for both. We just use this as a blanket for all search engines because we don't need anything more intense than this. This is a comment. So I put this in here just so we would know what everything below it is doing. So this is a really good way to write code so that if I was on vacation, I might need to make a change. Then Mike can go and see, okay, that's the point of all this code right here. So anyway, everything below this it's this line that says disallow. And it has a relative URL. So it goes everything after intrigueme.ca. So if you went to intrigueme.ca/building value, that page you will never see in a Google search engine result. And that's because it's in here. So we have a couple things on here. But for the most part, this is where all of our download and thank you page and ebook pages are, because we don't want them available in Google. So that's robots.txt. Next one. This is a little bit called rich snippets. Have you guys ever seen a search engine result that looks like this? So when I made this 2 months ago, this is what this looked like, but Google changes their algorithm constantly. So now that result doesn't show up with stars. This is a Champion Mortgage review for a different company, I think. But anyway, you can still see that there are a couple results in here. None of them are for our client anymore, but they were at the time. So for what we're doing, we'll just say that. That's what I got. We're working, actually, Mike and I are working on playing around with our reviews plugin to get it, or to see if we can get it to do this for our clients consistently. They had another piece of code on their website that was doing it, but it's not working anymore. But anyway, to really back off the whole thing, there is a protocol of encoding information that has been universally accepted by all the search engines, and it's called rich snippets. Or they use the tool, they use the method of rich snippets, and there's different things like schema.org and a couple other protocols that have been accepted. So that when Google goes to your website and it sees something that's encoded in the schema.org protocol, then it knows, okay, this is a reviews page, and if I look here and I see this bit of code, then I know it's going to be, this is a 4 out of 5 star review, or I know that the average of all the reviews is 4.3 out of 5, and I'll show you guys what that code looks like. So I've gone through and I've highlighted a bit. This is a chunk of code from Champion's site, and this is one of the schema.org pieces. So this says, span class equals tel. So tel means phone number, telephone number. And then if it has span class equals ADR, that means address. So then if the information is always encoded like this, then Google can grab it and pull it into search engine result pages. So if you've ever Googled a company and you see their phone number appear in Google in the organic results, it comes from information like this. If you're like me and you check up on sports scores constantly, you type in whatever the game is score or like NFL standings, and all that information appears on Google and you don't have to go anywhere, that's all using rich snippets as well. So there's different ways they use this type of code to encode information. And the reason we use it for our clients is because, we haven't mastered it by any means, but we started using it with reviews, and we started using it because we believe in getting our clients noticed and found. And in a sea of search results that all look the same, if you can have one that stands out with a 5-star rating, it's a really good way to get noticed. Next one is mobile responsive code. So mobile responsive code is a method of coding that makes websites appear on all devices and dynamically so that they adapt to the device's width and height. Whether you're on a BlackBerry, an iPhone, an Android, an old computer, a big screen TV, a MacBook, a PC, Linux, wherever you are, the website will resize itself dynamically to fit the device. That way you don't have to constantly be zooming in and zooming out and going side to side to read sentences. So Google released an update to their algorithm that would negatively affect websites that weren't mobile friendly. And with Google algorithm updates, people can kind of get out of hand and say, the world is ending. So there was one earlier this year and it was called Mobilegeddon, and it ended up being not a big deal at all. Really the only sites that were affected were sites that don't work at all on mobile, so old Flash sites and sites from like 1998. Anyway, it seemed like a big deal, but it wasn't really a big deal after it was rolled out. But we stayed ahead of the curve on this one. We've been building all of our websites for all of our clients as a standard in a mobile responsive method for almost 3 years now. So we were about 2.5 years ahead of the curve when it happened. And you can tell if a website is mobile friendly on a computer, or you can tell if a website is mobile responsive, I should say. Mobile friendly websites are websites that work. They don't necessarily respond to the device, but they will load, everything will work. But you might have to zoom in and zoom out, that kind of thing. But if it's mobile responsive, you can drag the edge of the browser screen and it'll resize itself, and you don't see a little horizontal scroll bar come up on a computer, so that's one way to tell. And in Google, if it's a mobile-friendly website, it'll have mobile-friendly in the search result too. Does anybody know what SSL is? No one knows. It's this thing called secure socket layer. It's a method of encoding the information that people get from your website. I don't know how it works. It's crazy. We have an IT guy named Jack, and he could probably tell you all about how it works, and you still wouldn't have any idea. It's crazy. This is something that has been, I should say, all the blogs that I'm reading from all the search engine gurus online, they're talking about SSL more and more, and there are preliminary data studies that show that websites that have an SSL certificate will rank a little bit higher. So I'm going to keep on monitoring this, and I will let you guys know if this becomes a major factor that all websites need to have. The reason why this is important, if you ever go to a bank's website, you'll see a little lock on the top of your browser, and you'll see a little green box beside it. There's different types of SSL certificates. We have it on a couple of our sites. We have it for Champion Mortgage's website. We have it on Media Imports website, which is an e-commerce website where people process credit card payments. And we have it on there for a bunch of reasons. It gives consumers a more secure feeling when they're on the website. But at the end of the day, it also can affect your search ranking, I think, in all these studies, because you have to go through a lot of hoops, jump through a lot of hoops to get these onto your website and verified. So kind of like when you verify your Google Place, you have to have something mailed to your address. You have to verify that you actually own the business. You can't just sign up for one of these and have it on your site like that. You have to go through quite a process to get it on there, and there's a couple different levels. And if you're on your bank's website, they probably have the highest level, which requires the most back and forth to get set up, but it's pretty legitimate. So anyway, it is an up and coming factor in search ranking, so if it becomes a major factor, I'll be the first to tell you guys.
Can you tell us what it stood for again?
Secure socket layer. And you can tell if you're on a website that has HTTP, that's normal, but if it has HTTPS, that's secure. Hyperthread text protocol secure. Everyone remember that one, it's in the quiz. It's not in the quiz. Has anybody ever been on this page of GoDaddy's website?
Yes. Once before, I think.
Cool. This is GoDaddy's hosting. So if you look at the bottom, when stuff's on sale, it's $6 a month. And you can get your website on the internet and have all the files be served up from one of their servers for $6 a month, which is just amazing. The problem is they're lying to us. It says WordPress hosting made simple, which is the truth, and it is not blazing fast, at least from 9 to 5. My personal website is on GoDaddy's host, so I know it like the back of my hand, unfortunately, and my website is pretty much always down or slow between the hours of 7 a.m. and midnight. So,
Which is when like consumers make decisions.
yeah. And before, I guess when I first started at Intrigue, we didn't know this, and we built a couple client websites on this platform. And since then, we've gotten all of our clients onto our new server. So this is cheap hosting. People talk about hosting a lot, and people ask us why our hosting is not cheap. And there's a couple reasons for that, but I won't get into them today. Essentially, the server that we bought it's called a Tier 1 server, which is the same type of server. We buy it from a provider called Rackspace, and it's the same server that Pinterest uses to host all their information, Netflix uses, Etsy uses that type of a server. A lot of the main content websites online use the same type of server that we use. It's safer, it runs faster, it's up longer, we can expand it to meet our clients' needs. And at a technical level, all of these $5, $6 a month servers, you're buying a space on a computer that is shared with thousands upon thousands of websites. So you have a virtual chunk of that server. And if 1, 2, or 10 of the other websites on that server start getting a lot of traffic for whatever reason, so if they're serving up spam or if they're serving up maybe illegal copies of movies or whatever, it slows down all the other websites on that server. And that's how you get it for $6 a month. So we have set up a similar setup on our server to that, but it's only for our clients, and we've got only 50 or 60 websites on there as opposed to thousands of them. And we always monitor our uptime and load speed. And whenever things start to get slow, that's always the cue for us to have a conversation with Jack, our IT guy, and he does whatever we need to do to make it fast. So whether it's expanding the server and making it bigger or have more bandwidth, whatever it is, we've got the capacity. But at the end of the day, if your website is taking longer than 3 seconds to load, then Google's going to affect your search ranking by dropping you. So that's the whole reason why this is part of the presentation. I think this girl in the photo is actually plotting how to get revenge at GoDaddy. Load time. Has anybody seen this exact image before? So it just looks like a normal image, right? So I'm going to click on where I got this image from. The original image file is 18,800 pixels by 5,339 pixels, which for you math whizzes is 100 megapixels. And this file is over, I think, 40 or 50 megabytes large, and they scale down the quality like crazy. If you were to open up this page on your phone would probably blow up, and Rogers would call you, and you'd have to remortgage your house. We used to just throw images on websites haphazardly. We didn't know. Google started affecting website load times. They brought that into their algorithm about a couple of years ago, and it's gradually become more and more important. And what we try to do now is scale all of our clients' website images to be 100 kilobytes or smaller, so that on desktops and especially mobile devices, you can get a home page or pages on your website that load in ideally 3 seconds or less. So there's a tool you can check website load time. It's free. It's called gtmetrics.com. It's pretty cool. We use that, and we use tools like Screaming Frog as well to really understand how quickly our websites are loading. And it'll give us a list of all the images that are larger than 100 kilobytes too, so we can go in and optimize each one of them. Another thing that affects load time is the platform the website's built on. So before WordPress, there was HTML, and you used to go on web pages, and they would load, and they'd have things like little animated GIFs and hit counters and flying Canadian flags and stuff. You guys are probably all too young to remember that, but an old guy like me, 28, I remember those days of the internet. And when WordPress came out, they built their platform on HTML, but then they also included this language called PHP, which essentially lets you grab pieces of information dynamically from a database. So when you go to a WordPress website, say you go to Intrigue's website, you go to intrigue.ca/contact, or whatever the contact address is, it goes to load the page, and it says, okay, this is a contact page, there's a form here, I need to go grab the form. So it goes to the database, grabs the form. It also needs to grab the text on the page, so it goes to the database, grabs the text on the page, and then it goes to the database and grabs the images on the page. So it dynamically assembles the page for you, and then it loads in your browser, and this all happens in a split second, right? But those trips back and forth to the database server, which lives in Chicago, take time. So it's kind of like this. Has anybody ever made chocolate chip cookies? Let's say, all right, let's go with oatmeal cookies, because Mike made some wicked ones last night. Are there any leftovers?
No.
Damn.
Delicious.
So let's say we're Mike, we're going to our fridge, and I'm sure this would never happen to Mike, but I'm going to use it as an example. I'm going to make these chocolate chip cookies. So you go to the fridge, you're like, oh, I don't have any butter. I got to go to the store and get butter. So then you go to the store, get butter, you come back, you get your apron on, you get your bowl out, you get your spoon, you're all ready to go to the fridge. All right, now I need some chocolate chips. You go there, open it up, oh, no chocolate chips. Take the apron off, go back to the store, grab the chocolate chips, back and forth. This happens a couple times. You have to go get the sugar, you have to go get the flour, but finally you get all your ingredients. So that's how WordPress works. It just happens very, very quickly. With static HTML pages, everything's right there on your server, so it can load right away. So the way we bring this into a WordPress environment is through using, oh, that's a nice ringtone.
Now mine.
Awesome.
I'm right now.
The way you bring that load speed into WordPress is through using a plugin called a caching plugin, which creates a static HTML version of your page right there on your server, so that when I go to the contact page, I don't have to go to the store a couple times to get my butter, because it's all right there, so I can just start making my cookies right away, essentially. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, page caching. Another thing that's an issue is duplicate content. I found this, I just Googled duplicate content, I saw this, and I was like, that is so disturbing. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you because I was scarred, and now you're all scarred with me. Here's a better.
You never want to be alone.
Yeah. Here's a slightly better duplicate content Google image search result. So duplicate content has been one of these things over the years that on the search engine blogs, people have always been like, don't have duplicate content. It'll kill your website if you have two of the same sentences on two different pages on your website. You'll be hidden from Google for years, and you'll just be out of search engine result pages. There was that whole really afraid of duplicate content mentality. It was blatantly everywhere on the internet. And then finally last year, Neil Patel from Kissmetrics published an article really debunking it, because he was the guy who had duplicate content all over the web that was doing really well in search engine results. So there is, at some level, you can't just go copy and paste whole websites and have 300 of them living on the internet verbatim, but at the same time there is somewhere in between that and not having any duplicate content at all. So I want to show you guys one example of something that we found that has affected one of our clients, or that doesn't affect one of our clients based on the way we've set it up. So I think, was it Hills X-Ray that had the www and the not www? Was this game
A.O. Wilson.
A.O. Wilson, right. Okay, so one of our clients, A.O. Wilson, if you go to their website, you can access all their pages with www dot in the address and without it. So you can go to aowilson.com/contact, or you can go to www.aowilson.com/contact. So both of those pages can be in Google. So now Google sees two of the websites. So now you have two of the exact same thing. Google doesn't know which one is the right one. So that's the issue. So essentially it can water down the value you can, or it can water down your search rank and kind of drop you down because you have more than one location of exactly the same thing. So Google just doesn't know where to put it. If you have one place to go for everything, then it makes it easier for Google to figure out where to take the users. So for Laser Aesthetics, they're not called ArtMed, they wanted us to switch their domain to ArtMed a couple months ago, so we switched it, and then they lost all their search rankings, so then we switched it back. Oh man, it's awesome.
Serenity.
So I want to show you guys how we did it, because we wanted to make sure that Google had one place to go for everything while still being able to access all the URLs on the website with all four of these combinations. Oh, there's the cat. So I'm going to show you guys how this works. So again, this is using the 301 redirects method that we talked about earlier. So if we go to artmed.ca, oops, there we go. It goes to laseraesthetics.com. If we go to www.artmed.ca, it goes to laseraesthetics.com. And if you go to www.laseraesthetics.com, it goes to laseraesthetics.com. So everything that's going to be in Google will be underneath this URL. All the other ones can still be used to access it, but we don't have to worry about Google getting confused and serving up for the exact same page in search engine results. So I think that's everything. That's a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Is
Good
it?
job.
Thanks.
That was really well done.
Intrigue Media. Get noticed, get found.